Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to Life from the Wrist. Hope you guys are doing well today. We were thinking about watch collecting and a collection that we would like to make. We thought about the fact that, there's a lot of famous people's watches that have been sold. And we were thinking, what watch would we own and whose watch would it be? So the question we're going to be answering today is, if we could own any famous person's watch, what watch would I own? I think this is an interesting question because you probably have idols within the world just in general, but also within the watch world you probably have idols as well. I think this kind of collection that I have made here is going to change. It probably will change tomorrow from what I think of the collection today, but I think it was a kind of interesting thought exercise that I went through, and I'm going to give you the collection that I would own for famous people's watches. But before we get into that, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button for this collection video, as well as subscribe to the channel if you are new here. So the way I thought about this is, well, let's just start from the beginning. So there are so many famous people out there that own really, really interesting watch collections and have very, very interesting watches. It was difficult for me to really narrow this down, but I think I narrowed it down to 3 watches that were important to me as a person and important to kind of my journey within the watch world, but also just me personally. Like I said, this collection will definitely change. Tomorrow it will probably be different because I'll idolize someone new, or I'll read something about an interesting collector at that time. So the first watch that I would own, and this kind of stems from a series that we are doing on this channel. The watch that I would want to own, it would be the first wristwatch that was ever produced. This stems from the fact that we started a series called Legendary Figures within the Legendary Watchmakers, and one of the people who we've covered is Abraham Louis Breguet, who was essentially the founder of the modern watch company called Breguet. And in 1810, he actually was commissioned by the Queen of Naples to produce a watch that could be worn on her wrist, and this was the first watch that was the first documented wristwatch that was ever produced. So right now there isn't any images, or no one really knows what the first wristwatch actually looks like. They have produced a modern version of it with what they think it would look like. It's kind of ovular. When I look at it on my computer, it's ovular, ultra thin, and had a repeating function on it. And this was the number that was given to this watch was 2639. And they have modern renditions of it that they produced, which have tried to bring to life what it looks like, but no one actually knows what it is. It was serviced, I think, in like 1855, and that was the last time that anyone had ever seen it. So it's definitely of legend. People really have no idea where it is or what it looks like. So I think it would be a cool watch to have in my collection because it's kind of novel. Obviously I would not be wearing it. I'd probably gift it to a significant other, or perhaps to my mother. I think that would be a cool watch to have. So the first one would be, I guess, the Queen of Naples, her first wristwatch that was ever produced by Breguet. If you haven't seen our series where we do talk about legendary figures within the watch world, be sure to check them out. If you go to our article, there's a link to our Abraham Louis Breguet one, but there's also a video series that we have on our YouTube, so you can check those out. So that would be the first watch. The first watch would be the first wristwatch that was ever produced by Breguet, owned by the Queen of Naples. The second watch, and this is significant to me because it's really what has shaped my idea of what I want my actual collection to be, and that would be John Goldberger's Patek Philippe reference 570. So if you don't know John Goldberger, or his real name is Paolo Montanari, he has a very, very beautiful collection. He's very well known within the watch collecting world. He's actually produced books that have tracked the history of many different types of watches. And he did an episode of Talking Watches on Hodinkee, which is obviously a watch website, and Talking Watch is a very popular series where collectors talk about their collections and then kind of the decisions they made about it and the history of their kind of collecting lives. And in his collection, this was produced quite a few years ago, but he showed a reference 570. This watch is a three-tone dial with Breguet numbers, Really beautiful watch, and his version is on this really beautiful beads of rice bracelet. And this watch really captured me. Obviously, this reference is no longer in production. They do have a modern version, which is the reference 5196P in platinum, and it takes after a lot of the aesthetics from the 570. The reason why I would want to have this watch is, one, I absolutely love this reference. I think it's one of the most beautiful Patek Philippe's ever produced, in my opinion. It's perfect to my aesthetics too. The second reason is because it belonged to Auro Montanari. He really has shaped my idea of what watch collecting should be, but also he is an absolutely amazing scholar and collector. So he's really added a lot of value to the watch world, but also just to my personal taste as a collector. I'd also really want to meet him in person before buying it. I wouldn't want to just blind auction it and end up getting it. I would want to meet him, thank him for everything he's done, and tell him that I want to be taking care of this watch from him. His chronograph, he's got a 1518 in steel. He owned one of those, but he also owned one of the Rolex Rattrapante chronographs, which was really beautiful. He's just a cool guy, and I'd love to meet him, and his 570 would be one of the watches I'd want to have in my collection. And then the last one has to do with something that happened to me lately. Recently, hodinkee, and this video will probably come out quite a while after the article came out, but hodinkee ended up creating this little, not competition, but little series where they asked readers to submit a short clip of a watch, video clip, where they're explaining how a watch in their collection is significant to them. And it's kind of a rendition off of Talking Watches, but they want to hear the stories from their readers. And so I submitted a video, and I was actually featured on it, and it was a really great moment for me because it was great to share the story about my watch. I'll be sure to, if you'll probably see it in the side panel of the video where we kind of go into it, but they had an article where they talked about my story, and they uploaded my video to their YouTube channel. So it was a really cool experience for me. Because of this, the famous person's watch I would want to own is Ben Clymer's Omega Speedmaster. Ben Clymer's Speedmaster is the Mark 40. It's the triple calendar Speedmaster. This was actually this was given to him from his grandfather, and it's a really beautiful chronograph. It's got a red hours hand with these kind of like chunky hour and minutes hands. At 9 o'clock, you see this black and blue subdial. It's just a really beautiful watch. It's very different than what we classically think of as a Speedmaster, but I kind of like the fact that it's a little bit different. The reason why I'd want to own this watch is, one, Ben Clymer. Without this watch, hodinkee would not be around, so I wouldn't have been on their website. But also, like, hodinkee, when I started thinking about learning about watches, they were like the first source that I went to when it came to trying to understand watches, and it really grew my enthusiasm for watches. This watch is kind of the start of all of that, and I wouldn't be where I am today without this watch. It's obviously Ben Clymer's. He's the founder of hodinkee. He's a real idol for me when it comes to running a business around watches. I have a website, and I blog about watches, and it's kind of a personal thing for me, but he's a real inspiration. And like I said, hodinkee, if it wasn't for hodinkee, I wouldn't be around, and Life on the Wrist wouldn't be around. So that would be the third watch. So to go over my collection, my 3-watch collection of any famous person's watch, it would be the first wristwatch that was ever produced. Currently, I don't know who the owner is, but we'll say that it's the Queen of Naples wristwatch. The second would be John Goldberger's reference 570 from Patek Philippe. And the third would be Ben Clymer's Omega Speedmaster Mark 40. So I think that's a really cool collection. Let me know what your collection would be in the comments. I'd be interested to see if you were similar to me or if you'd substitute any of my watches out. I think this is a kind of cool thought experiment, and I'll probably end up making another version of this video because there's so many ways that you can you can make this collection. So yeah, that would be my collection. Like I said, let me know in the comment section below what your collection would be, what you think of mine. Also, don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you like these types of videos, or if you've been watching us and you just haven't subscribed. A good portion of you guys watch my videos but are not subscribed, so be sure to hit that subscribe button. And with that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time.